Britain today. Boris Johnson to raise national insurance to pay for social care reform, reports say. Now that is just what any other socialist government would do, is bring taxes up for the middle class to pay for people who don't want to work. The irony of the whole situation is, in another report, they say UK will pay to shelter refugees in countries neighbouring Afghanistan. London, Britain said on Friday it would release £30 million, $41 million of aid to support nations neighbouring Afghanistan dealing with refugees fleeing the country since the Taliban took control. The British government said £10 million would immediately be made available to the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, and any other humanitarian groups to help with shelter and sanitation. So, how much money does actually get to the country or to the people that are fleeing the country? That's the biggest concern that I have, because after all, the government corrupt officials have taken their piece of the meat, and then the so-called humanitarian groups have taken their little bit. What's left? I live in South Africa. Sorry if I am a little bit concerned about those kind of things. We have multiple reports. The Independent, Johnson to hike taxes for 25 million to pay for social care. Newspaper headlines, tax rise for 25 million and the deterring other booster jabs. UK's Johnson to reveal tax rise for 25 million people to pay for social care. The Telegraph. Boris Johnson expected to increase national insurance payment to fund social care, the reports say. So America's gone through this process and it doesn't work. You cannot fund medical insurance for a country where the majority of the people don't actually pay taxes. It just doesn't work. And with the volume of immigrants, so, and I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of them are there they went to the UK and the UN countries specifically because of the fact that there are social grants, Medicare for all. That's what I'm telling you. So South Africa's by 2025 we have our own national health care which is coming in, and guess who's going to fund it? The 13 million people in South Africa that pay taxes out of the 60 million that there is. I'm not even going to open the statistics about how many people are in the UK, but you can just imagine that only 25 million people are going to be covering the social taxes. Thanks, Boris Johnson. I'm sure everybody's now very happy they voted for you. A tax rise in the form of a hike in national insurance is on the cards amid a cabinet split over how to pay for the government's long-awaited social care reforms, according to reports. Social care reforms. What does that mean? That is a very strange way of putting it, because it's falling under national insurance, but it is going to pay for long-awaited social care reforms. As soon as the word reform comes into play, it seems to be Javid has pushed for a 2% increase, saying the £10 billion raised from a mooted 1% rise is not enough, according to the Times. Okay, let's see what else. Social care is a desperate need of funding reform, but any plan to increase national insurance payments will face criticism, as it is likely to disproportionately hit millions of younger people. The Prime Minister is expected to announce a rise in national insurance payments to fund social care, despite this being a breach of the 2019 Tory manifesto. So they lied to you. What a surprise. A politician that lied to the people. Reports in the Times and the Daily Telegraph say the plans could be revealed as soon as next week, when Parliament returns from its summer recess. Oh, so they went on a summer holiday as well. Yeah, these guys. Both newspapers said national insurance is the favoured approach, but there are varying reports of how much the rise could be. The Times said Health Secretary Sajid Javid is pushing for a 2% increase, while Chancellor Rishi Sunak is arguing against any increase of more than 1%. I just find it ironic that both these names, Sajid Javid as well as Rishi Sunak, are not, if I can say it, British names. The Daily Telegraph said Number 10 wants a 1% point rise, but the Treasury is pushing to go higher, possibly 1.25 percentage points. Social care is in desperate need of funding reform, but any plan to increase national insurance payments is likely to disproportionately hit millions of younger people. It would also break a promise made by the Conservatives ahead of the 2019 general election, which guaranteed there would be no increase to the rate of income tax, VAT, or national insurance. Right now, the UK is sitting with a lot of people at the moment that are without work, who don't want to work because the government pays them salary if they don't work. And we just saw that in America, where when they had the COVID fund, it was they couldn't get people back to work, which is problematic and which is systemic of a socialist country and a socialist government, where when you have people that earn enough money to make a to live off, why should they go and work? And we're going to get to the same situation in every country. South Africa, it's already like that. They always push out the figures of how many people don't have work, but the problem is that what they don't tell you is that people come from other border countries in South Africa to come and work here, and they take the jobs because they're willing to work. And it's easier just to sit there and say, government, pay me a salary type of thing. So we're sitting in a situation where this whole socialist reform is going on across the world. We have America doing this, we have the UK doing this. South Africa has always been a socialist country. Julius Malema, he said that when the apartheid government was in charge, his granny could walk down the street and go to a clinic where she would be helped. She now has to get onto a bus and drive 30 kilometers to get help and sit and wait in a queue. So I find it kind of ironic that that somebody like him would come across and say, give a compliment to the old apartheid era. But anyway, so more taxes, let's take more money South Africa is also looking at taking an additional 12% from somewhere. They're killing the middle class because the rich guys know how to hide their money, and you don't have an option because your employer just deducts the money off your salary as per the government's instruction. So why do we need governments? That's the point. Leave comment below and tell me why you think that we should continue to have governments. Cheers.